So it's recording. You'll have access to these recordings as well. I'll be able to get them to you.
Okay.
I found this is the best way instead of using
Tarantino.
Zoom and all that crap. Because StreamYard's.
Move, dog.
Does it matter to you which way I keep my phone?
Sorry, I fat thumbed it.
Okay.
What's that?
Does it matter to you which way I keep my phone? I know different apps. I prefer
horizontal.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, I prefer horizontal. It's just it plays better on YouTube and all that stuff.
Yep. That's why
you don't have to have your phone like this to be able to see it. You know.
Yeah,
so let me.
That's why I asked because we have to with all our videos we do. I got a whole video crew and stuff that does all my stuff for me, so they've been kind of educated me how to do things. I'm usually just the mouth, not the technical guy.
You got your own video. You got your own posse.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff do you do?
So it started out like I was just this whole thing for me started out with a custody case that I was going through.
All right, hold on. Hold that thought then. Hold that thought then. Let me get my camera set up. I was a little late. I had to swap out vehicles, so I was a little bit late. This is my gimbal. Let's set this thing up here. Let's see. I'm probably gonna knock it over once or twice while we're talking because you know.
Yeah, I got my DJI gimbal that I use right here, but my battery.
See, I have one like that. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, it's the weight of the phone for some reason. Like I don't know if it's my case, the phone, or what, but for some reason the weight of
the phone's balance off.
It's always off. It's always fighting back and forth, back and forth. And I've tried three different brands.
Well, so what I do, because I got the Osmo, the 6 from DJI, and what I do is I offset my magnet on the back, and it seems to help it stabilize better if I just move my magnet down a little bit. Because the other problem I have is I got the DJI mics too that I use, and when I got to put the receiver into my phone, it kind of makes it weird. You just got to I mess with it. And we've found that it works if you just offset the magnet and stuff and kind of counterbalance it.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I was looking at the DJI. It's got this nice new one. DJI has this nice one out right now. It's new. It's got that little itty bitty screen on the like where your thumb would be.
The Pocket. I have it. Yeah. Pocket 3.
I want that so bad. Yeah, no cameras or nothing. It's all right there. I want that.
So I bought the Pocket 2 the very next day. It hadn't even shipped to me yet. They released the Pocket 3. So we returned the Pocket 2 and bought the Pocket 3.
Nice.
But it's a cool little camera. It's easy to use. It's so compact, and the video quality is amazing on it.
Nice. I might bite the bullet and buy them. The one I'm looking at is like $700.
That's what I paid for mine.
Yeah, I seen an ad on Facebook. I'm like, oh yeah, let me check. It's like, oh, this thing is badass. I love this thing. And I look at it, $35. Hold on, that's a scam site. I go look at the real one up. It's $700. Like, how mad do I really want to make the wife?
Right. I bought the whole creator combo, so that was like $700 for that. And then I bought some, like I have 2 of the DJI mics too, the Mic 2. I bought the pair of them, and like I said, I got my video guys are like, listen, here's the stuff you want to get. So I just started buying everything.
Nice.
Do you live in Michigan?
I live in Toledo. I live right by Toledo.
Okay.
So I'm pretty close. I was like, I wonder if I should just drive up there.
So I'm on the run right now. I'm technically a fugitive because my custody judge, they're retaliating against me big time over the SCOTUS case and, my city council meetings and all this stuff. I'm in a war with, our local government, basically. And
that's right there is going to be the intro to this video. I'm at war with my local government.
Yeah. And it's been going on for 9 years. I started my social media stuff 5 years ago, my Through My Eyes page and all my stuff. And I battle with these people every day.
That's incredible. Yeah, before we get into like the meat and potatoes of all this, that's what people don't really understand and how long it really takes something to go through the court process. April of 2022, I was arrested and I was sentenced December 2023. I'm appealing it. That's going to be like a year-long process.
Yeah.
And then as it goes from there, they're going to appeal it. Then it's going to go to the state Supreme Court. Then it's going to go to the federal court. Then it's going to go to the circuit court. Then maybe the Supreme Court. People don't realize. So when, like with your situation, you kind of spilled the beans a little bit on how it started. But with your stuff with Mr. Freed, did that start as part of the original stuff, or did that just come up later on?
It came up later on. I was already going at it with my custody judge and stuff like that. And then the more I started looking at things going on in my county, the more I started realizing everybody's connected and everything's tied together. And they've just created this whole culture of corruption locally. And so I decided that, there's a problem here. And I started taking them on, and, I'd go after one person and then another issue would come up. And this whole thing has just evolved and snowballed into where we're at now. And Mr. Freed ended up on my radar. I got thrown in jail for 10 days for contempt of court. And I ended up in jail with this guy. I was cellmates with this guy that had shot a local police officer that was having an affair with his wife. Well, me and my cellmate got to talking about it. And he's like, hey, James Freed was also, involved with my wife, and his name's in the police report. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Oh. So then I looked everything up, got everything figured out. Well, then I started going after Mr. Freed pretty hardcore. Like, hey, this guy is, he's involved in fraternization with employees, because the woman in the case was the police chief secretary. And so her and her husband were estranged from each other. She was having an affair with a lieutenant from our local police department, from the Port Huron Police Department. His name's Joel Wood. One night, Josh Bowman, that's the estranged husband, he went to his wife's house. She was there with the lieutenant. He shot the lieutenant and killed him, shot him in bed and killed him. Took off. They couldn't find him for like 8 hours. Well, Mr. Freed got the phone call right away. Hey, we had a local police officer shot and killed. It was the middle of the night. Well, Mr. Freed fled his house with his family in the middle of the night and went to a hotel and checked in because he thought that Josh Bowman was going to come after him. And so it's a whole big, there's a much bigger conflict here than just this SCOTUS case. That's just
we'll talk about that another time, because I'm saying, like, tell me this stuff. I grabbed my face. I'm all in. I don't necessarily love drama.
Right.
But I love how involved small governments like Port Huron is, how everybody, I grew up in a small town for a little bit. Everybody knows everybody. And you act up, like before the 25-minute bike ride before I was home, like my parents had my punishment planned out, and I'm getting whooped when I get home. Like, what did I do? You know what you did? So-and-so called. I'm like, dude, like, really? This is before cell phones. I'm 44.
Right. I just turned 44 3 days ago, actually. So.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
That's why you didn't get back to me Saturday. Okay, it makes sense.
And that's what was great about the SCOTUS case. It came out 2 days after my birthday. I'm like, this is a great, because we thought we were going to get the decision in June, right before the term ends. And I got a call from, I did a bunch of media back when this case first started, and they granted my petition for cert. And so AB News, the producer from ABC News, texted me that morning, was like, hey, you have anything to say about the decision? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I have no. They just issued my lawyer, my attorneys hadn't even contacted me yet, and again, it just came out. I'm like, all right, let me read it real quick and see what's going on. And so I brought it up and was like, holy cow, like 9-0 unanimous, reversed, remanded. I'm like, we're gonna go get to litigate this now.
Yeah, I seen that back. I mean, they have 6 months once it goes into effect, or they make their decision, the ruling, it goes in with 30 days and it takes effect. Yeah. They have like 90 days to appeal. And then within 6 months of it, the writing and the decision has to come out, which is why it came out last Friday.
Yep.
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't know if you looked at my channel. I told you what my YouTube channel was, kind of what I do. I believe in government accountability. Not that we need to get rid of all the police, because there is a place in society for police. They do have a role to play. Government has a role to play, no matter if you like it or not. If you don't think government has a role to play, look at like Indian tribes back in the day. Look at like the tribes in Africa. And then before we had like established governments, it was nothing but battle everywhere. Everyone's trying to take over them. You're getting stabbed in the back by this guy and that guy. So there is a place. What that exactly is, I'm not quite sure, because I don't like anything that's in place by either party and everyone in between. There's a lot of good on each side, a lot of bad on each side. For me, what I have found is the most offensive things that are happening are the things that are happening right in front of everyone's view on the camera, on social media platforms. And when you when you silence dissent on just the basis that they're talking about something you don't like, that stops everything else from happening. You can't have a conversation about anything without offending somebody, because everyone's, well, this is my opinion. Great, cool. But I hate your opinion. I want to push mine on you. And being a government official, you put yourself in that spotlight to take everyone's opinion, no matter good, bad, or indifferent. So
Right.
with your situation, if you could explain what happened with you, Mr. Freed, a little bit. I'll tell you, I'll be honest, man. I'm trying to get back into the studio here. So I can control. I forgot I got to control it on this phone. I'll be honest with you. When I read it, I was quite interested. I mean, oh, hold on. I gotta get this guy out of here. He's too ugly. You know. All right. Sorry about that. Why won't let me control it? That's weird. I can't. Oh well, I don't care. I was gonna just put you in as the primary here, but I want to go backstage. I'm gonna put myself backstage here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll edit this out. All right, there we go. That's better. Now I can control this, right? Ah, look at that. This is only my second time using this because I really don't do a lot of these.
Right.
But this situation, man, I mean, how often do we get this kind of a place to be able to make this kind of an impact and effect? So if you could, everyone, this is Kevin Lindke. He is the recipient of a SCOTUS ruling, March 15, 2024. Linky v. Freed out of Port Huron, Michigan, involving the city manager for Port Huron. If you could, Mr. Linky, could you just tell us what happened? Like, how did this get going?
So back when COVID started, I'm a pretty vocal guy in my community as far as local government goes and stuff of that nature. And back when COVID began, obviously the world was in complete disarray. The country was in disarray. We'd never have dealt with something of this nature. And right after they shut everything down, Mr. Freed was, making posts on his Facebook page. It was the only Facebook page he had. And he was using it to talk about, the city's response and things that he was doing within the community and whatnot. And I went on to some of his posts, and some of them, I don't remember going on to really any like strictly personal posts. It was posts where he was with the mayor and different things of that nature. And I just was making some comments that, the city's response has been abysmal. You and Mayor Rep are out at a restaurant grabbing lunch when, the community is trying to figure out how they're going to, pay their mortgage and pay their bills. Because at this time, everything had just been shut down. The whole unemployment thing hadn't kicked in yet. So no one knew what was going on. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, the way the city was responding. So I made some comments on some different posts that Mr. Freed had out there. They were very civil comments. They were respectful. They were critical. And on some of the posts, he engaged with me and answered some questions. And we went back and forth a little bit. But then he didn't like what I was saying, so he deleted my posts. So when he deleted my the first couple posts, he also blocked that profile. Well, I had one or two backup profiles, so I used those to go on there and to continue with my critical comments. Always respectful, always civil. He then deleted those comments and blocked those profiles. And at the time, I had a very good federal attorney from Hemlock, Michigan. His name's Phil Ellison. He does a bunch of federal work, and he was doing some other things for me. So I called Phil up and was like, hey, James Freed is deleting my comments and blocking me. Is there anything we can do? And I remember clearly, he just texted me back. He was like, hey, you want to sue him? I said, let's do it. So we filed the 1983 action against Mr. Freed for the First Amendment violation. And, he hired a local firm, Fletcher Falco, Shouty Francis, this firm represents the city, the county, the judiciary, the police department, the sheriff's department. I call Gary Fletcher Boss Hog, with the Dukes of Hazzard reference. Yeah, because he looks like Boss Hog, and he's just kind of the puppet master on the county. And
insert pictures here. Let's go.
I got nicknames for everybody. I call Freed Casanova because he thinks he's God's gift to women, and that's a whole nother story. I'll tell you some other time. But so we filed the lawsuit. They responded to it. It went to the Eastern District, to the trial court. The trial court put in this 14-point test to determine whether my rights were violated. We checked off 11 out of the 14 boxes, but he still ruled against us. So we then appealed it to the Sixth Circuit. Well, then the Sixth Circuit came in and created a whole different test and only used 2 prongs. And that was basically the duty and authority test. And they didn't want to use the appearance test that all the other circuits had applied in situations similar to mine. Obviously, we lost at the Sixth Circuit. They affirmed the trial court's decision. Mr. Freed prevailed there. And after that happened, we were contacted by, I was contacted by Stanford Law, Georgetown University, all kinds of, First Amendment law firms and whatever. And Alon Keatum from Arnold and Porter had reached out to us. We spoke with him. I looked into his background. I was like, yeah, this guy's a heavy hitter. He's very experienced. He's clerked for 2 justices. He worked at the Solicitor General's office. Like, this guy was just a heavy hitter and knew what was going on. And that was my guy. And we went with him. And he said he loved the case. He loved what was going on. And they wanted to file the petition for cert. And so we did that. While we were prepping our petition, the Ninth Circuit decision came out, the Garnier case. And so that kind of, we had to alter some things and kind of fast track some things. And we got our petition in, and, it took some time, but the high court came back and granted our petition for cert in both cases.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the Garnier case. Very similar. In fact, the SCOTUS ruling cited the Garnier case.
It did.
In your writing. I'll let you know. I have read everything from the federal court in your area to the district court, the circuit court, and the Supreme Court for both cases, and there are some strikingly odd similarities between the both. The basis for it all, which I'll get into here in a minute, with the exception that they used filters. Now, did it ever come out that Freed used filters, or he just flat out blocked your Facebook accounts?
He completely blocked me from everything. And the difference between my case and the Garnier case is, in my case, the government prevailed in the trial phase and at the appellate level, right, to where in the Garnier case,
theirs is upheld all the way.
Yeah, the public won there. So it was just very similar circumstances, but just a different outcome, a different victor on the case. But what that case did, or what my case did, really, because the Second Circuit, I believe the Eighth Circuit and the Ninth Circuit, the Second Circuit was the Trump v. Knight case, or the Knight v. Trump case,
which they threw out in 21.
Yes. And so what happened with my case out of the Sixth Circuit, we were the outlier. And so that created the circuit split. And that's why the justices picked that up, because you can't have appellate courts. Obviously, if you know anything about federal litigation and decisions, you can't have conflicting decisions across your different appellate courts. And so for us, it worked out great that the Sixth Circuit ruled the way they did, because that gave us the vehicle we needed to get to SCOTUS.
Exactly. Yeah, you make that persuasive authority argument from a level or slightly superior court from a different jurisdiction. So say here in Ohio, I'm Sixth Circuit as well. I'm here in Ohio. If your case hadn't been there and mine come up, or yours had come up after this Garnier ruling, you guys can make that a persuasive authority argument from a federal court level in your case, and the court would have to at least consider it. So what you're saying here is absolutely correct. I mean, you can't go persuasive authority from this one, and then the prosecution uses persuasive authority from this one. There has to be a definitive ruling, which is why I think Trump's case in 21 being thrown out was so important. Now, I don't like the fact that they just threw it out because he left office. He was still in office when it happened. He's still a government official, acting as in the capacity of a government official, doing that. I really believe they should have heard it all the way through, but I understand why they didn't. The divide in the country, things would have tipped off a whole different, way, with the wrecking balls swinging both ways and everyone being the victim. But with the Garnier case and yours, I mean, the Garnier is like 2 years younger than yours, overall. But they came up at the same time, which is important because they came up through the circuit courts almost together. Look at the dates. There's almost like, okay, well, I'm going to take a step forward. Now I'm going to take a step forward. And they're all like really close to each other, which is remarkable that it happened this way. It's almost like a perfect storm.
It absolutely was.
It was beautiful too. I mean, I'm in Ohio, and I hate the way the court systems are in our area, our general area, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and I'm not counting Kentucky, Pennsylvania. More like the tri-state area. Very much anti-citizen rights when it comes to like Sixth Circuit Court rulings, and even the district courts. So that's why I am so happy this happened so close to home.
Right.
I mean, we have this a lot. I mean, the way this lays out, both 6th and 9th, is gonna, alone would set precedent throughout the country. But when now we have the SCOTUS ruling, that puts, they don't know it yet. They will be when they get in all my letters. That's putting them all on notice.
Right.
Every complaint that I get about someone being blocked, they're getting a form letter. It's going to have Linky v. Freed, 22-611, and O'Connor Ratcliffe, which I'm upset they don't have Zane in there, but O'Connor Ratcliffe v.
Right.
Garnier, 22-320-324. Your fight, I have to ask you, did this cost you a lot of money out of pocket, or did some of these cases get picked up contingency or like a pro bono?
Yeah, no, it was pro bono. That, like I said, with Mr. Ellison, and Phil actually does, he's down in Cincinnati all the time at the Sixth Circuit. He does a lot of, he's actually there today and tomorrow arguing a case. He's very successful there. He's very well known there. But yeah, he loves, he's that rare attorney that loves going after government officials. I mean, he sued 2 judges on my behalf, and it's impossible to sue a judge.
Oh yeah.
And he's taken 2 judges on. One got thrown out, it got kicked right away. The other one is still ongoing 4 years later. We have Judge Lightman out of the Eastern District. He's an amazing federal judge. He's very intelligent, and he's very sympathetic and open to hearing our cases. And so, yeah, Phil took my case and said, I think I paid the filing fee, the $400 filing fee for it. And
worth every penny.
Worth every penny. And then obviously when Alon Keatum and Arnold and Porter contacted us, they said, yeah, this is on us. We'll you don't got to come out of pocket. So it's been even better with that, because federal litigation, I mean, state litigation is expensive. Federal litigation is exponentially more expensive.
You're looking 6 figures federally. If you want to take a case of SCOTUS, you're looking, that's a lot of money.
Oh, that's if we prevail on remand and they got to pay, the city or Mr. Freed has to pay the attorney's fees, we're talking well over $1 million with everything that's gone on. It's going to cost them a lot of money, and we're not sure that their insurer will really, if they're indemnified for this type of situation.
But it sounds to me like the way the ruling came out, sounds to me like Freed will be on the hook himself financially, as well as the city.
Right.
So for everyone that doesn't know what the ruling is, so basically, Mr. Freed, the city manager for Port Huron, converted his personal private Facebook page into one that looked like a government page, basically. He put the city's website on there, email, address, his title, and he was notifying the community of COVID during the pandemic, the vid issues that are going on, updates. These are some new rules and things we're going to try to live by. He was also interacting with the community about different things going on in the community. So he basically turned it into a mouthpiece or a bulletin board for the community that they could communicate back with. And when Mr. Linky here did so, he didn't like any blocked, 3 Facebook accounts, was it?
Yeah, and I didn't know this at the time. It came out later on. He had been blocking and deleting people for years off that page. If he doesn't like what you said, he would get rid of it. And so when my situation came out and we filed our lawsuit, we had, I think, 6 other local residents reached out to me. I have a big Facebook page group that I run called Through My Eyes. And, I got 20,000 followers on there, and it's everyone in the community in the county watches my page. I get a lot of attention on it. And so when we filed our stuff, all these other people like, hey, he blocked and deleted me too. So we actually deposed all of them. So it wasn't just me he did this to. And he's out there saying, oh, well, Kevin's got a felony and he's a convicted felon and he's got all this stuff, and that's why I blocked him. Well, why'd you block these 5 and 6 other people that we deposed? They didn't do anything, but were critical of what you were doing. And so he's going to have a lot of trouble if this gets remanded back to the trial court and we have to develop more proofs and stuff, because his argument's not going to hold up, under scrutiny.
Even if you're 100-time convicted felon, where in anywhere does it say that a felon loses their right to free speech? It doesn't. So his argument is just trying to validate his behavior.
Yeah, he's trying to spin it. And he's like, this guy wasn't even a resident, even though I did live in Port Huron. And even if I wasn't a resident, it doesn't matter. And Mr. Freed doesn't understand that. He just wants to, he's saying that the SCOTUS decision, he thinks he won. He's out there trumpeting this like this was a victory for him. And we're trying to explain, listen, your ruling got vacated. The test you relied upon got rejected. Your attorney's arguments at SCOTUS they didn't prevail. This is not a win for you. A win for you would have been that they would have affirmed the Sixth Circuit's decision and adopted their test. They didn't do that. And so he's out there doing interviews, talking about how this is, I think he was quoted in USA Today or the Detroit Free Press, said this was the best outcome we could have hoped for. It's like,
and this is the city manager?
City manager. And he's literally saying this in all these different articles. It's quoted, best outcome we could have hoped for. Well, no, the best outcome you could have hoped for is that they affirm the Sixth Circuit's decision. And what's really interesting about this, with the way he's trumpeting this like it's a victory, his attorney has not released a statement on this decision at all. They've said nothing about it. My attorney from Arnold and Porter released a statement. Phil released a statement, all saying, "Look, we think this is a good decision. We're ready to go litigate this." Freed's out there saying, "Oh, look, I got a unanimous decision saying that I can block anybody that I want from my personal page." And it's like, number one, that's not what they said. And number two, the fact that if this is such a big win for you, why aren't your attorneys out there saying, "Look, we just, kicked ass at the Supreme Court and got a unanimous decision"? They have not said a word.
I'm going to do some quick math. Because I might get attached to some of this after March 15th. What is 31 days after March 15th?
What's that, like?
Tuesday, April 15th.
April, yeah.
So guess what I'm going to do on Tuesday, April 15th?
Check up
I'm going on his page, and I might make a comment or two that he might not like.
Well, so he deleted his page completely.
Aww.
Yeah, when this all started, once the lawsuit got filed, so that's another. So here's what's going on. There's so much to unpack with all of this. So, because they won't tell the truth.
All right. Someone called, and it kicked on the speakerphone all of a sudden. So I'm like, what the hell?
No worries. Yeah, so what happened is we filed our lawsuit. Well, then Mr. Freed deleted his page. Then he brought it back on. Then he deleted it. Well, he kept saying that Facebook was just deleting his page out of nowhere, and he didn't know what was going on. And I'm an expert on Facebook. I use it every day. It's what I do. It's my biggest tool that I have. Facebook doesn't just come delete your pages. They don't just delete them and then bring them back and then delete them, then bring them back.
Would you be up for listening to a phone call?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. He's still the city manager, right?
He is.
All right. Let's see. I don't normally do stuff like this, but I really just, I'm feeling kind of froggy today. So, all right. Oh my God, speakerphone. All right, I just closed that tab altogether. We can run this from here without it. Okay. I'll get back into it in a minute. All right, now let's try this again because that was loud. That was stupid loud.
Oh, yeah. You guys are all on my space.
He likes to dip out early and go to the local bar. He gets we get pictures all day long. I post of him on my Through My Eyes page, and we keep tabs on him very closely.
Get down.
You're unable to come to the phone right now. Your name, number, and a brief message. We'll return your call as soon as we're able. Thank you.
My alarm was because it has nothing to 2-hour interview and the audio is corrupted on my phone, so I gotta re-record it.
Have a great day. Okay. Well, let the voicemail. Let's see if they call back.
Well, one thing that's been happening. I don't know if you've seen the video where they removed me from a city council meeting 2 years ago. We have a federal lawsuit pending in that, and it's because I was in there talking about the shooting and Mr. Freed going to the hotel, whatever. That video in the last few months has been getting shared. Wall Street Ape shared it to their Twitter page, and it got like 1 million views in a day. And they did a whole edit where they had all the city manager, the mayor, all their phone numbers and emails and stuff. They were getting bombarded. Well, it just got shared the other day to another big page. And so they just get swamped with calls every time this goes out there, because whoever does the edits for their channels and their pages, they put in all their phone numbers, their pages, all their contact info. And so, when you have 1 million views and all these people across the country seeing it, I mean, you run a channel, so, people get fired up about this kind of stuff, silencing critics and silencing the community. So they've just been getting hammered by phone calls and emails and all kinds of stuff.
To give you an idea how people don't realize, like, how many people actually call. At the time of my arrest 2 years ago, I had about 4,000 subs. There was just shy of 500 phone calls on my behalf.
Right.
So, I mean, that's 1/8 of the viewers, or at least 1/8 worth of calls going in, just shy of 500. And I have from pretty good authority about that number. I made a public records request for all of those phone calls. I don't think it's going to happen because I there's stuff I can and can't talk about because it's involving a case.
Right.
But I made public records requests with the Toledo Police Department that sometimes take 19 months to get filled. I am at over 20 months for several. And Ohio's rule, the Ohio Supreme Court cert has been established. 2 months is like the limit.
Right.
So there's a whole case going on with that. That's going to be getting litigated soon.
So what did they charge you with when you were for filming? What was the statute that they relied upon?
That's the case that's in appeal, and there's some protection orders in place and my bond conditions, so I can't get into the details of it.
Which I think that's another violation. I think that's, a violation of the First Amendment there is putting these gag orders they put on, in place.
Did they put one on you?
So not in this case, but in my custody case, because there was so much attention, the judge put a gag order, and that's what they're trying to throw me in jail on right now, saying that because I posted pictures of my daughter, and he said the media can't post pictures. Because I posted a picture, he's telling me that I'm in contempt of court.
You can't even post a picture of your own kid?
That's what he's saying. He's jailed me twice on it already for 90 days each time. He's trying to put me in jail for another 90 days. That's why I took off. I left Michigan. My judge is under investigation by the Judicial Tenure Commission for the stuff he's been doing. It's a very slow process. And so based on some conversations I had with some different attorneys and all that, we just came up like, hey, I'm just going to leave Michigan until the investigation plays out. And the judge is probably going to end up being removed from the bench. He's done a bunch of crazy stuff. He was denying good time. If you went to jail for contempt, he was denying good time on that time because we get good time in county jail in Michigan. We have a state law that says everyone gets good time. He has never given good time to anyone for contempt, and I never knew about it until he started doing it to me. I was doing a bunch of research in the law library while I was in jail, found out we had a whole problem. So we have a whole federal class action lawsuit pending on that.
Oh my God.
We're going to hammer. Oh yeah, I have a lot of federal litigation going on, and I have and none of it's frivolous. It's no bullshit like, oh, I'm just going to sue. It's very experienced attorneys taking these cases pro bono because the issues are just so substantial.
And this is the first I'm hearing about all of this. This is like, I thought it was just a bunch of Facebook stuff. I had no idea. My brain is turning to the point to where I'm like starting to get a headache, and it's like going to stop because it's going to just get froze up. So you have custody court cases going on. Then the judge put a gag order. You can't post pictures of your child, which
Yep.
Okay. You get put in contempt for doing so twice. You get 90 days each time. You don't get the good time. And then you got the stuff with Freed. Not just Freed, but you also got city council.
Yep. I'm suing a judge, a local judge. Michigan is our local judges. Some of them have been using the Michigan PPO statute to basically infringe on free speech. You know, PPOs are for personal protection because somebody's in danger. Some of our judges, especially my custody judge, they use them because somebody gets hurt feelings. You know, a parent's like, oh, look, they're talking about the case on Facebook and I don't like it. So they're like, okay, here's a PPO. And then when they talk about the case on Facebook after the PPO is in place, they hold you in contempt. I just did a year in county jail over this. I got hit with 5 contempt charges that they ran consecutive, even though they're not supposed to. That's a whole nother issue in front of the Michigan Supreme Court right now. And it's a nightmare. It's just free speech is under attack in my county. It's kind of, I won't say it's under attack across the country because we have a lot of leeway to say what we want to say.
Yeah.
In my county, a couple of these judges they think that their judicial authority trumps our right to free speech. And so we are battling with them. I have so many different cases of mine and decisions through my custody case and the PPO cases I have going on that are cited in the judge's bench book, the 2024 edition. I'm in there like 5 or 6 different times because of what's going on. It's like I said, I am at war with our local government and our local judiciary.
I would love to do just something on each and every bit of it. I love to come grab something to eat. It depends. I don't know how close you are to me. We'll talk about that off the recording, but you know,
I have if my story is so wild, and for me, it's all about getting back to my daughter. You know, once I realized that, look, these people are all connected. They're all like, I had CPS and Friend de Corps and the sheriff's department and the local police department and the local child abuse and neglect council. All the people that run them were all conspiring together to affect my custody case. I have an issue. I don't talk about it publicly too much anymore. I've had no contact with my daughter in 5.5 years. I've never been accused of neglect, abuse, anything. I've had to do all kinds of stuff with professionals who all say I should have my daughter, that I'm a good dad, I have no problems. But my judge, because he's connected to my ex, to my daughter's mother, they have been manipulating the whole system and the whole process. And that's what started me on just going after everybody. I've taken on the sheriff, the police chief, a couple judges, Mr. Freed, the city council, the board of commissioners. I mean, I go after these people all day, every day. And it's all because of what happened in my custody case. I just realized there's a huge problem locally where I live.
How old's your daughter now?
She will be 10 in May.
Oh my God! So those are like the most important years.
My whole dads don't quit. I started it. I mean, I got the tattoo on my arm. It's a
awesome.
Whole movement and brand that I created because of what I was going through. And I started realizing it kind of started out as father's rights, but then I didn't want to alienate the other side. And I realized that it's more parental rights. You know, it's just, you know, I understand father's rights and I'm all about it. Yeah, go dads. But at the same time, there's a lot of moms that are getting screwed. And it basically parents just get hammered in family court. And so it just turned into, that's what kind of started my social media stuff, because not only did they take my daughter from me, they put her in harm's way. And I'll explain to you what the real issue is off camera. I try not to talk about it publicly because it's a pretty big deal. And I don't try to embarrass my daughter with it.
Gotcha.
But it's very wild, and like I said, that's just what put me onto our local public officials. It's rotten there. The whole barrel, the whole bushel is rotten.
CPS and child court has way more power than they should. I mean, just one person from CPS making one accusation, not even the parents, but like the parents could say, "Hey, look, I'm concerned because of I found this on my kid's phone." And then CPS goes in and doesn't do any investigating whatsoever, has no idea what's going on. Case in point, something that happened in my family that could have gone sideways. I have 3 girls. My youngest one is 12. One of her best friends is texted her and said, "Hey, you know, this person's mad because of something you said to so-and-so." And she's like, "What?" So allegedly, my daughter had requested this kid take pictures when he gets out of the shower. And that's how it was relayed to us through her friend's mom. And the kid's mom's like, I seen the pictures of it. I seen the text messages. Like, send them to me, because that's the case. I'll go knock some sense into her. You know, I have no problem. Like, look, this is bad. You can't be doing this. But when we look at the text messages, she's like, hey, can you just send me a pic? He goes, well, want me to after my shower? She's like, I don't care. So just that, and had CPS run with that.
Right.
And my daughter's got pictures on her phone of this kid after a shower, which, by the way, it was in the mirror from like collarbone up.
Right.
So it was very innocent. And it was just, he's just like, I got my hair cut or something like that. Well, send me a pic. That could have gone sideways so many different ways, because a lot of times they don't investigate till it's like time for trial. Oh, now we'll look into it.
Right.
Oh, sorry about it. Sorry, we took your kids away. Sorry, you've been labeled, you know, whether it be an abuser, a neglector through the community. For 2 years. Sorry about it. My bad. And I've seen that happen to people that I know. A simple incident with a big dog falls on the kid. A small kid breaks his leg. Kids getting threatened to be taken away, and cops are at their house all the time. And this and that. It's like the dog fell on the kid. It's a big dog. It's a little kid.
Right.
You know, no investigating. And then they take the kids away. And more times than not, I know there's a lady, VB, I'll use her initials, VB, who's had all of her kids taken away because she was a young mother, and she was old enough to be a safe mother. I have a cop call me right now. Oh, well, sorry. And she was a good, you know, responsible mother, and they kept taking their kids away because the first two were taken away. The first two were taken away because she was unwantedly touched when she was like 13 and had a baby. Right. They took the kid away because she's in an unsafe home, and that was a good call. But she, as a child of 13, should have been taken from that home, but they left her there, which happened to a second kid. Right. And then she's 16, 17 on her own, has another kid. Well, then take that one away, because she's on her own, living on her own, doing her own thing. Actually, that was just the chief of police that called me. That's right. And then the police in my community, I gotta say, I'm very happy to say that they are fantastic. The police department as a whole, the chief, the deputy chief, the public records sergeant. I sent him an email like 3 a.m. I've already got 2 hours of body camera footage redacted and in my email. Right. So that's great when that can happen. So yeah, the whole Child Protective Services, CPS, CSB, whatever it is where everyone's at, has way too much authority and control, and it can turn situations. Had that just been left alone, this domino effect wouldn't have you with the SCOTUS ruling, most likely. Right. It would have you not having to spend, you know, we're looking at you like a 14, 15 months in jail on contempt charges or something like that.
Like 13 months. You're not even supposed to do 13 months in county jail. And I got let out I went on the run that time too. It's a whole crazy story, and I'll tell you about it sometime. We can talk off camera, but it's just what happened in my case is CPS got involved. It had nothing to do with me. I was never looked at. It had nothing to do with me at all. But then the CPS worker was my ex's mom's maid of honor, you know, just different, you know, there was all this crazy stuff that went on. And like I said, the more my whole thing started because one day I Googled my judge's name and my ex's attorney's name. This federal case came up where they were co-defendants in a federal 1983 action. My ex's attorney's firm was representing the judge while the attorney was practicing in front of the judge, and they weren't telling anybody about this, and they were co-defendants in the case. And that's what started me down the rabbit hole. And that's what got a simple Google search. And then I just started Googling everybody's name together. And Google is an amazing tool. I love Google. I mean, it's just, there's so much out there you can do with it. And that's what just started everything. And then everything, just one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. Like Mr. Freed, had I not got thrown in jail for 10 days for contempt, I would have never ended up being cellmates with Josh Bowman, the shooter, you know, the guy that killed the cop. And then me and Josh got to talking, and Josh started like, hey, here's the police report, and Freed's name's in here. I'm like, why is the city manager asking out a married woman for drinks, and that married woman is a city employee? You know, it was a whole. So then I started digging into Mr. Freed, and then everybody was like, oh yeah, this guy's a problem. And it just progressed from there. And now all of a sudden we got the Linky doctrine now, you know what I mean? That's incredible. That's what's really cool about my SCOTUS case is we're the controlling case. We didn't know if the Garniers were going to be the controlling case or if my case would be. And fortunately for me, my case became the controlling case, and that'll be the test now. So, I mean, it's less than. Can you explain to everyone what you mean by controlling case? So basically ours, and I may not get it right, the finer points, but basically it's the Linky test now. It's the Linky doctrine. Our case was the case that they decided to really put the test in place. Like the Garnier case, they didn't even sign it. It was just a per curiam decision. They came out. It's unsigned. It's the companion case to ours. Because because we created the circuit split with the Sixth Circuit decision, that was the case now. Like I said, we're just the controlling case. It'll be that case and our decision and our test that will be cited now. It's literally going to be the Linky test or the Linky doctrine. And the effect that, it's going to be in law books for the next 100 years, unless they start chipping away at it or trying to change it. But it's basically new law. And this is less than once in a lifetime stuff.
Yeah, this is like once in several lifetimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really cool about this for me is it's part and parcel of what I do, the way I take on our bad government officials and the free speech stuff to be able to get this issue with what I do up to the highest court in the land, and then to get a decision and get a test and be the controlling case. It's amazing. It's very surreal.
Yeah. I was like, oh, and it's so close to home. I love it because it puts the Sixth Circuit on notice that, look, y'all are jacked up. You got some issues. And that test, it's a two-pronged test that they decided on yours.
Yeah.
So as a city manager, Mr. Freed had the ability to speak on behalf of the city on certain topics like the COVID regulations, restrictions, things of that nature, events going on. So the fact that he had the ability, the ability to speak on behalf of the state on that action means that, one, he's allowed to, and two, does he have the authority to speak about it publicly on social media, what have you? So that's the two prongs to it. One, does he have the ability to, and yes, does he have the ability to do it on social media? Now, just because he can talk about stuff on social media, like the janitor, for instance, can go on social media, talk about things he overheard or seen in City Hall, he doesn't have the authority to speak on it. So just because he can do it on Facebook or whatever doesn't mean that, it doesn't diminish step one. So they had to, one, have the ability to speak on behalf of the state, as they stated, or the local government, and then, because they're all state actors, and then two, is he allowed to do that publicly, and that'd be considered his part of his position, not because law says he has to, but because the city is, we have like a public information officer.
Yeah, the one thing they did, because what they did is they basically took one part of the Ninth Circuit test and one part of the Sixth Circuit test, and each one got a prong. The Sixth Circuit, we didn't get the appearance of the page, but we got that you're acting in your official capacity. And then we got the Sixth Circuit's decision where you have the duty and authority part of it. So where Mr. Freed's like, oh, they rejected our proposed test right out of hand and they adopted the one we went. No, they didn't. It's a hybrid test. They took it. That's why we got a unanimous decision. That's why this is bipartisan. Instead of having, a 5-4 or 6-3 or whatever, we got a unanimous 9-0 decision because they bridged that gap between both circuits. They made it palatable for both sides to get behind it. And and so it's just, like I said, the problem Mr. Freed's going to have, and a lot of people see Freed's getting caught up on the test. It's not about the test. If you know anything about the law and about decisions, it's the language is what's really important. Every single word in that decision matters. It all matters. And so when you get to the part where they talk about the blocking, he may be okay with deleting my comments. If he just deleted comments that were on posts that weren't about official business, he may be okay there. That's much closer to the line. But when he completely blocked me from his page and he had official communications on that page, it's game over for him. And he's not acknowledging that.
You know why? I think he's not, because in your ruling, they didn't really talk about. They didn't get into depth about the context of the comments and things like that. Just that he blocked you. But when you look at the Garnier case, it actually talks about how Christopher Garnier had commented the same exact comment on 226 of O'Connor.
They were spamming the shit out of them teachers. They were.
I'm like 226 in a row and the same exact thing. So it's copy and paste, which I do a lot on certain things, but it's always on topic. And so when you're speaking on topic and they block it or delete that comment, that violates this. So it's not just about, that's what Freed's not picking up on. It's not just about blocking people. It's not just about blocking access to being able to comment. It's also about deleting, removing, or preventing comments, like they did with the 2,000 plus words for filtering, like they did on removing. And the courts, I think, appropriately ruled that 226 posts or comments about things unrelated to the topic is excessive and borderline harassment.
If I was a public official, I would want to block somebody. I mean, I totally get it. I'm not some anti-government, anti-public official person. I just want ethical, honest, stand-up people in those positions, because that's when things work the way they're supposed to work. When the people making the decisions and in the leadership positions, when they are good people that are honest people that will follow the law and follow the policies and adhere to the rules, things work great for everybody. We don't get into issues until you're just doing the things you're not supposed to do. And like I said, I like this decision. I think it's fair to the public. I think it's fair to the officials. And we have a very clear set of rules and framework moving forward. The issue for Mr. Freed is it's not good for his case, for his defense.
It's not clear to him, obviously.
And he doesn't seem to understand that, and it's mind-boggling. There's a lot of discussion locally because, like I said, Through My Eyes page, it's a daily thing. I mean, all day long, it's what I do. I have a very supportive family that allows me to just focus solely on this because, about the whole custody fight and everything I have going on. So I drive discussion every day. This issue, it's all these issues are being discussed every day in my community, and it's great.
I just joined Through My Eyes.
Right on.
So I'll be posting this on there too.
Okay.
I wrote an article. I'll be sending you the article. It's a little bit over 2 pages. I wrote an article about it's going to be going on a website. It's going to be highlighted on the website for the rest of this year as like #1 topic of discussion, because I really want people to get into this and discuss this. SCOTUS didn't just say you can just sue them whenever they block you. They said that there's avenues that they could be sued. So it's not a clear and defined. You can get sued for just blocking a comment.
Right.
It's about the context of it. And that's what matters. And that's what I think. Well, the Sixth Circuit said it's kind of muddy. The waters are muddy, or murky. I think they said murky. It's murky as to where the private page and the public page begin, what the separations or differences in. And the SCOTUS clearly defined it. You need to keep your personal and separate from your public stuff. So don't talk about the public stuff. The moment you say I'm running for office on your private page doesn't mean that you're subject to all the scrutiny of everything.
Right.
But when you repeatedly post, we're going to be here, we're going to be doing this, you're talking to the community, that's different.
Yep.
Keep your governmental entity page separate from your personal. And if you block people on that one, just at will, however you feel, then you're subject to lawsuit. But if you don't keep them separate, you have them together, and people are commenting on the political or government related posts and you're blocking them, that's where the lawsuit can come in on what you would call your personal page.
Or even say they're not commenting on the political post, but you have official posts on there. You can't block them from that either. And that's where that's where he's in trouble with our case. It's not, like I said, for me, I don't think I'll prevail on the deleting my comments. He may be okay there.
But the blocking 3 accounts.
But the blocking's where he's screwed. And I sent you, it should be in your email, I sent you some of the exhibits that had some of the official communications he had on that page that he blocked me from. They were literally administrative directives that he was issuing to different departments. And per our city charter, Mr. Freed oversees all of them. He has the authority and the direction to interact with the community and talk to constituents and talk to residents and get their feedback. He is way out of his depth here, and his case is in trouble. It's my case. His defense is in trouble.
I love it. I don't see.
Oh, you know what? It said your mailbox was full.
It shouldn't be.
It said it was full, but what I will do is
I'll have another one for you too.
I'll send them to you on Messenger.
Okay.
As soon as we get done with this, I'll send them to you. There's 3 screenshots. Actually, go on Through My Eyes right now. You could probably, I made a whole post about it. It'll be one of the top 2 or 3 posts. If you scroll, you can see the posts.
Is this the someone needs to sit James Casanova Freed down and explain?
Yeah.
All right.
Look at those 3 pictures.
All right, so I'm gonna read this here.
I cited the excerpt from the decision. I cited an article that talks about it, and then I put all 3 posts of James on there.
Yeah, I see. I actually cited when the video I have prepared to kind of mix in with this, because it's. I tell you what, I've recorded a video about this case. I'm not even joking, like a dozen times. Saturday night, I started the first one. Like, I need to read more. Sunday morning, I'm reading more. I do like Sunday afternoon, then did like 8 or 9 of them Monday morning. I'm like, just no, I can't get at what I want. I can't get what I want to say outright, which is why this is so beautiful, because we can talk it out. And I love this kind of stuff.
Right.
I actually highlighted this, and there's another, one of the very last paragraphs out of it. I also highlighted. I didn't bring my notes up because I have it all in here, but I don't remember that word for word. This is what I like. This is one of my favorite parts. But because Facebook's blocking function operates across the entire account, a court would have to consider whether Freed had engaged in state action with respect to any post on which the plaintiff, you, wish to comment. The apparent implication here is that a citizen cannot be blocked if there is even one official post. That right there is beautiful. If you put on there, I'm running for office, that's different. Right. Once you're elected and your position, even if it's use it for your political page for running for office, then it would become state speech.
Campaigning. You're okay campaigning. If you're not an elected official yet and stuff like that, and even if you're talking about campaign stops and stuff like that, you're okay with that. That's not official. But when you do what Mr. Freed did, you start putting your policy directives and your administrative directives out, and you have, even if you could have 99.99% photos of your dogs on your page. If you have that 1% or that 1/10% of a percent or 100th of a percent, a post that's official communication, you can't block anybody from your page at all.
Yeah, it is now a place for it's now considered a public fora. Yeah, and I love it. I heard the ruling. My buddy of mine called me up like, "Hey, you seen this shit?" I'm like, "No, what?" I pay attention to SCOTUS stuff. I just hadn't yet. And it was probably 11 a.m. and he gets alerts right away. He's got a spreadsheet of terabytes of data, this kind of stuff.
Right.
I love this guy. You know who you are, buddy. I'll call you in a minute. But when you hear all this stuff, like, all right, cool. I'll look into it. And I go to read it. He goes, "That's fantastic." You know what it is? And he makes the argument that this could also apply to government pages themselves.
Yes.
Because if you look at it, and I'm like, I didn't think of it that way, but he's right. The government has these. But it's the sheriff, chief of police, whatever.
Department, a police department page. A Port Huron Police Department, our local police department, because of me and my group, they shut off commenting on their entire page.
Guess what?
So did the sheriff's department.
And that is a violation of what court ruling?
Well, I think they can do it if they shut off commenting completely. I think they're okay. We're discussing that. We think they can do, but if not, it's the Linky test, and they're screwed.
I am highly inclined to say that violates it, because just this right here, because Facebook's blocking function operates across the entire account, a court would have to consider if whether Port Huron Police had engaged in state action with respect to any post on which anyone wished to comment.
Now that you say that, this may change all that. So we've been our county health department shut off their commenting, our sheriff's department shut off commenting, PHPD shut off commenting, the downtown Port Huron official Facebook page shut off commenting. Like, I'm a menace to these people, and my group is a menace to them. And it's just a daily onslaught of attention and holding them accountable that they just made it. Yeah, we're not listening, because, I make a comment and then 40, 50, 100 people are like commenting on there. They're like, yeah, we can't handle this. So they just completely, so that may be something we're going to revisit with all of them.
Yeah, I don't have my hoodie up here. I have 3 hoodies. I thought I seen one. I have 3 ramen noodle hoodies. It's kind of like my thing. I love ramen noodles. My nickname's Noodles.
I eat a lot of ramen noodles when I do my jail time. So
right. Hey man, look, nothing like a good break, right? So yeah. Sorry, I love ramen. I take blocks of cheddar and like small little chunks of it and throw it in there and mix it up. So you take bites of like cheesy goodness with it. So I am known around here as the ramen noodle hoodie guy. There's government officials that I absolutely love that, hey, their kids are like, hey, have you talked to Ramen lately? No, it's been a while. And I'll get a phone call. Hey, the kids are wondering, you're okay. Like, it's pretty cool, man.
Right.
I show up in one of their offices. Hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while. You okay? My kid's been wondering about you. My name and phone number and stuff is up next to one of these people's grandkids and stuff on their wall. So if something does happen to me down there, which Toledo Legal Department has called the police on me twice for making public records requests.
Right.
So I thought I was a menace and pissed people off. TPD can't even talk to me without their body cameras on. Like, I'm like a cop that I love, and I have like highlight on my channel, Officer Mueller. I'm like, hey, Mueller, how's it going? He goes, beep. Okay, good. How are you doing? I mean, like, I thought I was bad. So, man, I got some work to do.
And I'm like you too. Like, I have a lot of the rank and file love me. They respect what I do. They feed me. You know, I get so much inside information, and it's from people because I have a lot of credibility. People see what I go through. They see what I do. I've been very, like I said, I have a felony from 23 years ago. I got some other petty misdemeanors throughout the years. So I have a criminal record, nothing crazy, nothing wild. When I created my Through My Eyes page, the very first post on that page, I did like Eminem and 8 Mile at the end. I just put everything about me out there. Here it is. This is me. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I will talk to the end of the day with you. I don't care. We can talk about it till you don't want to talk anymore. But when we get done talking about me, can we then talk about the issue that I'm putting out there? And
because you can't want transparency without being transparent. You have to be.
Exactly. You know, and like I said, if I had some crazy charges and convictions, it would be a different story. But it's all the stuff I have is relatively minor. They've been charging me with crazy stuff since I started. You know, they've been pushing back. Like, I just went through a criminal trial. I had the whole video on Through My Eyes. I represented myself in the case. I beat 2 of the charges. I got convicted of 1 of them or 2 of them. They convicted me of an assault and battery because me and this guy were chest bumping each other and he fell down. And then they charged me with jostling, disorderly conduct jostling, which I don't even know what that was until I got charged with it.
Shake them?
Yeah, that's what they apparently jostling is aggressively crowding somebody. I don't know. They went deep in the law books for that one. But we went to trial. I made a request with the judge to have media coverage of my trial. So I had all my video guys in there. The whole trial is documented. They put a badass edit together, and I sat there representing myself, and I smoked them at trial. I probably, right after trial got done, I got an email from somebody in the prosecutor's office with some exculpatory evidence the prosecutor withheld and hid from me. So there's a whole thing going on with that.
That's a discovery violation.
Oh yeah, it's a big one too, and it's obvious. And then one of the jurors reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know, if they were going to come after you, they should have got something better. This was a whole waste of time and money. And even though we voted to convict on the lesser charge, because they charged me with aggravated assault because the guy claimed he had a concussion, blah blah blah, but no medical records." She's like, even though we voted to convict on the lesser charge, for me, that was a weak guilty verdict. And I'm like, well, that's reasonable doubt. Like, there's no weak guilty if you should have hung you, because they deliberated for 3 days on this. And basically they compromised at the end. And had she just held out, we would have hung the jury, or I would have hung the jury and would have prevailed.
Are you appealing that one?
What's that?
Are you appealing that?
I'm appealing because of the Brady violation. Yes.
Are you going to depose? Are you going to depose the jury?
We may get to that point. We're hoping that they just throw it out there. We don't have to get that deep into it. It's a very obvious one. I mean, it's a whole email where the victim was like, "Hey, here's the medical records I'm giving you. Here's the ones I'm not giving you," and it literally lists it in the email. Well, the ones they didn't give them are the ones I asked for, and the prosecutor's like, "Well, I never had possession of those." Doesn't matter. You knew they existed. I specifically asked for them. You didn't give them to me. That's a Brady violation. It's exculpatory evidence. It's material. It's the only thing that supports your charge. You should have never even charged me with aggravated assault because the medical record said the dude was fine. And then you didn't give me those medical records.
Remind me when we're done here to talk to you about that, because I have a very similar situation in my case.
Right on.
Very similar.
They don't like to see one thing I do is I'm a menace, but I fight fair. You know, I stay within the rules as best as I can. And it's hard to fight that when you're fighting people that are breaking all the rules and that have all the authority.
Exactly.
How do you have that fight? You know, how do you prevail in a fight like that?
It's their house. You have to play by their rules, but they don't. I mean, it's a joke. It's like the court system in the United States anymore is like a kangaroo court. There's very little that goes right. It's done the right way. Ohio, for instance, has a couple of different aspects that allows a person pro se. It's written for someone's pro se. Ohio Court Rules of Criminal Procedure 16H states, and Ohio Revised Code 149.43G, which is part of the public records law. 16H is discovery. It states that a defendant in a case that makes a public records request to an agency that was involved in or is involved in investigating them is considered discovery and should be treated as such. So a lot of people don't realize, and that's actually it says discovery in this subsection H.
Right.
People don't realize that's there. So like the pro se defendant, that's there to support them, to give them that authority, legal authority or standing to say, I want these records as the defendant. So when you have agencies doing that and following it, and then you have agencies that don't, well, how can you make it happen if they don't follow it? They don't follow it. They don't have to.
So
I mean, it seems like at the time.
So in my case, I made a FOIA request for any emails between the complainant/victim and the prosecutor's office. I have a very good relationship with our local FOIA coordinator. She's amazing, you know, and so I was going to get the email where they talked about, I should have been giving the email where they talked about it. Well, our county attorney, Boss Hog Gary Fletcher, all my FOIA requests go to him. He has an order in place, a directive in place that anything I submit goes to his office first and he gets to see it. When
it sounds to me like a little selective enforcement.
Exactly. And so when I made the request for this email, for all the emails, they pulled out that email. The one that got leaked to me after my verdict came in was like, oh yeah, Gary Fletcher told us we can't give you this one. And that one would have given me what I needed to go get another piece of evidence in my case that I wasn't able to get because I didn't know it existed because they hid the email from me. Had I got the email, it's a whole thing. And but thankfully, like I said, my entire trial, I had 3 cameras in the courtroom. Everyone got to watch it in real time. It was like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. We literally live streamed the trial. And so everyone got to see all the different issues and all the stuff going on. They're like, yeah, wait a minute. There's a big problem here. And it's not like reading transcripts. You know, when you can watch it, like you literally, here's the video of it. It was amazing. And even though I got convicted, and I actually had to do 30 days in jail because of it, everyone's like, yeah, this is a sham conviction. This is, you know, complete bullshit. And this is 100% retaliation against Kevin for what he's doing.
Learn stuff, right?
It's all I do is stay in the law library. I read books all day long, and I just stay reading the law library.
Do they let you take notes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have, our county jail, like 4 years ago, we have tablets now. So everything's ready. You have your own tablet in there. There's a phone app on it, so I can call my people whenever I want. But everything's on there, so I can just look up the law libraries on there. So I just sit in my bunk, and that's all I do. I got my little notepad, I got my pencil, and that's all I do. That's how I found out about the good time issue. I found a case law that talks about the statute. It's MCL 51282 or whatever, and it talks about every county prisoner gets good time no matter what you're in county jail for. And I was like, wait a minute, this says everybody. So I went back, they threw me in solitary, did all kinds of stuff trying to shut me up. And I kept pushing. They went in their rule book, put it in there saying you don't get contempt or a good time for contempt. I said, you got to take that out. That's not going to stand. 2 months later, they had to take it out. 2 months after that, the Court of Appeals immediately let me out of jail. And now they have federal civil rights, a federal class action lawsuit pending.
What's the rate for good time?
What's that?
Yeah, what's the good time rate? Like 3 for 1?
1 day for every 6 days. So 5 days off a month.
So if you're in there for 90, that's 3 a month. You could get 15 days off your sentence.
15 days, yeah. That's huge. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you spend an hour in jail, you're not supposed to be there, is a lot. When you're talking 15 days, like jail is not, I mean, and it's county jail, you know what I mean? It's not dangerous. It's not whatever. It's just boring.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries. So I was just looking, I got this, somebody sent me a book when I was in jail and I was just kind of sitting here. I didn't even realize I had it. It's in my pile, but it's called Design Social Change. And I just opened it up to the anger part. And it says, anger is a key ingredient in stirring up change. It says, anger can be frightening, but dissatisfaction is needed to prompt change. It is anger and conflict that sparks social change. Like, people don't get it, because that's the one thing that people that my detractors were like, oh, he's just angry, blah, blah, blah. You're damn right I am.
Well, yeah.
Like, you would be angry too. The problem is channeling that anger into something productive, into something positive. it's like, I mean, I fight rage all day long, you know, not being able to see my daughter, knowing some little, you know, shithead with a robe that doesn't know nothing about nothing is making these, you know, huge decisions. Dude, I mean, it's the rage that just creates within me is just, it's not uncontrollable, but it's uncontrollable. I've just found a way to channel it into something to you know, try to do something positive in the community, and people don't get that. Like, anger is a good thing.
That's anger is a driving force. Love and anger are the two most destructive forces there are.
Right.
And in a good way. Sometimes when you're so angry that you have nothing left to lose, so you throw it all out there and you just go all in, and you get results, then you know it's properly channeled. But when you you know, you go out and you're smashing windows, smashing cars, setting buildings on fire.
So it's funny you say that about smashing windows. A guy that I went to high school with, he's in a custody case too. Same kind of stuff with me. He's a MMA fighter and stuff, kind of known locally, whatever. We graduated together. The judge kept messing with him. Him and the judge were just battling back and forth, back and forth. Well, in the middle of the night, he went and threw a brick through his window at his house. Huge brick. He got 3 years in prison for it.
Well, yeah, that's he's got to get a few different charges for that.
That's the difference, you know what I mean? With the anger, is like you can use it to be destructive, to where you're going and throwing bricks through judges' windows and you're going to prison, and he's probably going to get out and kill. I mean, Justin is a big guy. I mean, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. Justin's my height, but he's like 230. Just, you know, he's a dangerous dude. And I wouldn't be surprised if when he gets out next August, he may kill this judge. Like, it's quite possible that he may, and that's anger in a destructive sense. You know, you're not going to fix anything with that kind of anger. But then you can have me. I'm just as pissed off as he is. You know, I have the same rage that he has about what's going on in our situations. I just found a way to just use it in a good way. You know, and I've gotten in trouble for some shit because I run my mouth when I shouldn't run my mouth and do whatever. And, you know, I have to, and I ignore court orders when they're bullshit, you know, but I'm willing to take that consequence.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to take a stand on something, right?
Right.
If you stand for nothing, you fall for everything.
Right.
Or was it fall for anything? You know, either way. I really, really want to take that same approach.
Right.
I can't right now because I do have, like, we're all still a family unit, and my arrest kind of, you know, almost, I didn't talk to my wife at all when I was in jail. She would not talk to me. 4 days, she didn't say a word. Came home, I grabbed a few bags and stayed with my mom for a few days, you know. Kind of let it blow over. It took a while. There's still, I mean, we're still reeling from it, you know. We're almost 2 years later and still having some issues with it. So
it's a lot, you know. I just, that's why with me, I have the perfect situation and circumstances for what I'm doing. I have a very supportive family. I have a very supportive community. I don't have to worry about a 9 to 5 and going out and mortgage and bills. I can literally stay just laser focused on what I'm doing. That's why I'm very well positioned to do what I do. I wouldn't expect anyone else to do what I do and to have to take on the fights that I take on because the consequences are too severe. You know, you start like you get thrown in jail. I mean, you have your family unit. All of a sudden, you're being charged criminally. All the bullshit, the money, the time, the stress. Who the fuck could do that? You know what I mean? I'm just very fortunate that my life situation is what it is. That's allowed me to do what I'm doing.
I think it's awesome. That's such a good support unit. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I wish everyone had that. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But I do thank you for taking up that fight and that plight with having that support unit. I mean, you could have easily gone, you know what? Whatever, it is what it is, you know, and given up, you know, jumped off a bridge or just moved on with your life the other way. I mean,
so many parents, when they get into these family court situations, all of a sudden, you know, they might lose their job or they go bankrupt, you know, so next thing they start drinking, they start doing drugs, suicidal, homicidal. I mean, it's just, it's such a mental fucking strain, and nobody prepares you for this. There's no book, there's no support group. There's no, I had my daughter when I was 35. I have one daughter. I was 35. I had heard about family court, but I didn't know anything about it. You know, I'd never experienced it until I got pulled right into it. And then I'm like, yeah, now I get it. Now I understand why people do certain things that they do, because when it comes to your kids, you know, because not only did they take my daughter away from me, they put her right in harm's way right away. And I'll tell you about this sometime off camera. And they put her in danger, like straight danger. And I went after that, and they tried to turn that whole situation around. And so people don't understand, when this happens. But, fortunately I've been able to at least, I'm not in prison. So there's that.
That's always a benefit, Can
Yeah.
you imagine being in prison and then the SCOTUS ruling happens?
I would have been in county jail had I not. I was supposed to get sentenced on February 29th. I left the state on the 28th because I knew it was going to happen. And I'm just really glad that I wasn't locked up, that I'm able to be out to talk about this and do the things and all that. So
And for those government officials watching, I have no clue where this man is. Don't come knocking on my door.
Nobody knows where I am. Nobody knows what I'm doing. So we keep
I
it.
I will not answer the door. You got a badge, you come to my house. That's why I called you. It's kick rocks.
The one
I don't
thing
answer
I'm going,
questions.
like the stuff I'm running from, it's one charge of contempt of court for posting the pictures of my daughter violating the gag order, and then the disturbing the peace. But the disturbing the peace is going to end up getting tossed out. It's whatever. It's very petty, so I don't have any real worries about it. About them. They're not trying to find me. It's not like I'm on some felony freaking warrant, running from some serious stuff. It's literally, contempt's not even a criminal charge. It's literally a civil violation. So
yeah, the judge can give you up to 90 days, right?
90, yeah. And he's going to give me all 90 days.
Yeah, yeah. And the disorderly would be like what, $150, $200 fine for the disorderly?
They never hit me with any fines. It's always the disturbing the peace is also, it's considered, it's a city ordinance I violated. They didn't charge me, but it's still considered basically a misdemeanor. Right. But we are part of our negotiations, our settlement negotiation for throwing me out of the city council meeting is I want you to drop the charge from the second time it happened. And so that's probably going to go away too. I'm fed up with this judge. And I said, and the whole, so I wear a Where's Waldo outfit when I do my Facebook lives and all that. So it's great. I created, like you talked about, you created a website. I did too. It's called bluewatercurrent.com. That's like our local media website that I use to go after officials. And if you go on there, I have the picture of me in my Waldo outfit and talk about my custody situation.
Nice.
But this is where it comes in handy that I have all these computer guys. I got web designers. I got video guys. I got after production guy or post production guys. I have a whole freaking team that knows. Awesome. I'm not computer literate. Like I can use social media, but I'm not a computer guy. But I have a whole badass team that they know how to do everything, and they love this fight. Like they want to be in this fight with me. So it's worked out pretty well for all of us.
Oh, that's fantastic. What's that website again?
Bluewatercurrent.com.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, and then I have dadsdon'tquit.com too. That's like my merch website and whatever, where we're trying to do that for the Dads Don't Quit and the Mom Squad.
This is great. Oh, I know they won't be able to see it on here too well, but I'm gonna.
But yeah, I talk. Yeah, there it is. Where's Linky?
Fantastic.
So my girlfriend, because I had to do this once before, I had to take off. I took off for like 4 months from a contempt of court charge. And my girlfriend sent me the Where's Waldo outfit. So I started doing the lives with that, and the people loved it. They're like, you are a freaking clown, and we are here for it all day long. And so like the judges or the prosecutors in court, like, Mr. Your Honor, Mr. Linky's antagonizing us, and he wears these Where's Waldo outfits, and like the judge just laughs because they all know me. Like you said, it's a small community. We all kind of know, of each other and who each other are. We may not be friends and didn't hang out, but like they know I'm harmless for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they understand what this is for me, that I'm not just out here. I'm not some criminal, wild, loose cannon, dangerous dude. I'm just a dad who's trying to get back to his daughter and discovered a bunch of problems going on within the community and decided to stand up to him finally.
It's amazing how easy that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you got to get bit. It doesn't. You got to get bit first. You know what I mean? That's what gets people, into, because that's what motivates you. It either shuts you down or motivates you. Me, the more you tell me I can't do something, the more I'm gonna just find a way to do it.
Yeah, I was a huge bootlicker. I mean, I was addicted to boot polish. Right. I would floss with the laces. I mean, I was licking polish and pooping leather. I mean, it was bad.
Right.
Oh, they investigated the shooting. And, it was a justified shoot. Then something happened to my sister-in-law. It was small. It's a car accident. She wasn't at fault. 3 witnesses said she wasn't at fault, but the cops put her at fault. wouldn't review the body cam or there any footage from anyone, wouldn't talk to anybody, no witnesses. So I went to get the body cam, and it wasn't there. It was gone. It took them 3.5 months to respond, and by then, like, oh, it's gone. That started my channel. While I was down there doing that, I was harassed by 3 different cops, and that just pissed me off. There's that the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. And here we are 3 years later or so. I've been kind of silenced because of my criminal case, because of my bond conditions. You know, I couldn't get rearrested, so I got to be real careful. Right. Which got me into doing stuff like this, looking into cases. And my experiences here, I can put myself in those people's situations, and for the most part, like, you know, being harassed. I don't know what it's like to have my kids taken away. I couldn't imagine. I know what it was like 4 days in jail, not being able to see them, but just talk to them. It hurt. Right. So I couldn't imagine that. But I see the fight, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the court and the BS. When you have, you know, there is no, I love the fact that we have the Supreme Court the way it is for the most part, where if shit gets to this point, it's the law of the land. Right. But it shouldn't have to get to that point. Right. You have all these different rulings all over the place that don't mesh together. A federal ruling should be a federal court ruling. Right. And then that's that. So if something is ruled in the Ninth Circuit, it should also apply in the Sixth, not just having to use a persuasive authority argument and see if the judge, you know, is like, that's a good idea. You know, are the factors all the same? To get rid of qualified immunity has to be a pre-established, already well-written and understood rule of the land. Like that's bullshit. Everyone knows that you can't shove a handful of snow in someone's face and smother them while you're trying to arrest them. By the way, that lawsuit got thrown out because he pled no contest to the resisting charge that he was resisting arrest. He wasn't under arrest at the time, but they shoved handfuls of snow in his face in Akron, Ohio, smothering him. That should be clear. There should be no, we have to have anything established. It shouldn't be like some guy got snow in his face before for this one to be. It's exactly the way they do that. Yeah, you can't smother someone when you're arresting them. Well, I didn't know that. Well, all right, you get qualified immunity. Then the next guy does. Right. It's like, come on. Your situation, it's already been established that government agencies and entities can't block social media. But the difference in this one is the personal aspect, and I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I really appreciate you for doing this. I got goosebumps right now, even. But I got goosebumps when I heard the decision, because that gives us what we've already been given, and that's the right to speak and freely and redress our government, as long as it doesn't amount to violence or threats. Right. You know, saying someone's a piece of shit tool. Okay, you're a piece of shit tool. You shouldn't be banging other people's wives while you're married. You know, that's just society. You shouldn't be banging other people's wives while you're married. You know, you should be able to. And if you want to, go work in the public sector and do it. That's my issue. If you're going to work go work in the private sector. If you're going to work in the public sector, we have to depend on your honesty. And obviously that's the rose-colored glasses. Like, oh, I'm not that naive to think we all got to be fucking Mary Poppins. But there should be a pretty high level of honesty and ethics if you're going to put yourself in those positions. You can't be a scumbag and be in a position of honesty and authority and expect to get respect. It just doesn't work like that. It's like a cop that's cheating on his, and mind you, I'm not anti-police. I have a lot of friends that are police officers. They're great cops. It's a hard fucking job. It is difficult as shit. I don't like bad cops, just like I don't like bad lawyers. I don't like bad judges. Yep. If you're good at your job and you're honest, I will support you. I will go to war for you. I will do anything you ask. I have a lot of local officers that come to me with their issues because they know that I'll do it. Not that I'm a cop hater, but like if we have a cop that's cheating on his wife or a judge that's cheating on their spouse, how can we expect you to, if you're going to lie to the person you made a vow to, how can we expect you to go sit on the stand and tell the truth? Exactly. That's my thing is if your integrity and your honesty is compromised over here, then how can we accept it over here and count it over here? That's my issue. A lot of people can't make that connection because they lose the forest for the trees. You know what I mean? And they want to disassociate from what's going on because they don't want to see what's really there. They don't want to see what's behind the curtain. Right. You know, and like I said, reveal what's behind the curtain, it's ugly. Yeah, if you want to be a scumbag in the private sector. And exactly. As scummy as you want. I don't care. But when you come into the public sector and you're paid public money and your decisions or what your actions have a direct impact on the public at large, then you got to be a good person. It is what it is. You represent the community. You represent not just your office, not just the city you work for, but the people that you work for. You represent them. And if you're out there, Jamie Knoll, I would say if you can hear this, but you're in prison, you're probably not, or in jail, you're probably not going to see this. Jamie Knoll, his wife and their daughter, what they did out there in Clark County, Indiana is disgusting. You know, he's the one that started the whole 60 Days In program. And him and his crew, Donovan and all them, you know, they're bad people. The sheriff's daughter has been indicted on 9 felonies because of his actions. His wife's got like 12 or something. He's got like 30. And stealing from the public, you know, having people work for you that don't really work for you so they can get paid, selling company city property to benefit yourself and, you know, reaping the benefits of that. So when you have this kind of a thing, that's what the community looks at, like, oh, well, everyone looks out on the side. Well, you know, people hadn't been talking about this for years. Right. And they just let it go and keep reelecting this guy as a sheriff. Like, that makes the citizens look stupid, inept, and incompetent. And when you have a city manager,
don't you guys have a sheriff somewhere in Ohio that the gambling debts, he stole like the $5,000 from the public money to pay his gambling debts and stuff, and I think they put him in prison for like 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. We had Eric Smith. So Macomb County is the county next to mine. He was our prosecutor in Macomb County. He was taking money from the forfeiture fund, spending all kinds of ways for, you know, stereo system. They threw him in federal prison and stuff. It's like, and people look at these people, they give them the benefit of the doubt. Oh, you're a cop or you're a judge or you're a prosecutor. You must be honest. Fuck no.
They're people just like us, subject to shit that we would do ourselves, you know? There's a sheriff in Ohio that was using inmates to put up his political signs when he was going for re-election. There's a deal. He doesn't know this yet, but the Department of Justice is now investigating him. Someone I know put in a complaint, and it's in their investigative unit.
Nice.
There's another sheriff in Indiana that I'm working on as well.
That's the other thing that I love about this SCOTUS case. We're just driving attention on Port Huron, Michigan, in St. Clair County. And the one thing for decades and for generations, they've been able to just fly under the radar. No one ever sees them. No one knows what's going on. Now there's this intense spotlight, and we have all kinds of shit going on. When you Google Port Huron now, you should see the stuff. We have a very big problem with sex offenders locally, huge problem. We have one of the largest concentrations of sex offenders per capita in our county in the entire country. It's a whole problem. And I take them on. That's why I got a lot of support too, because I go after all of them. Like, we had a convicted pedophile that owned a daycare. We had a convicted pedophile that owned a women's empowerment group. He was married to the woman that owned it. Our mayor, Ajax Ackerman, back in 2000, he was this old biker, had drug problems, alcohol problems, went to prison, said he turned his life around, ran for mayor. They elected him. A year later, they indicted him for molesting 14 girls. And he did 20 years in prison. And they made him our mayor.
How long ago was that?
Back in 2000, 2001. His name's Ajax Ackerman. So then at the time, my daughter's mother, her uncle was the police chief or the captain and the mayor. He was BFFs with this guy. So you can kind of see the implications there and some stuff. And I live in a very fucked up place. And I've pulled the curtain back on all of it, and that's why they're coming after me so hard. And I've been able to I've gained a lot of traction. I mean, obviously I got to fucking SCOTUS, you know what I mean? And all this other stuff. So there's so much media attention now on us, and well, we're just hoping to just kind of make things better for everybody. And I'll be the martyr and the whipping boy until that happens. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you. I've got 2 last questions for you.
All right.
How did you feel when you heard SCOTUS was going to hear your case?
Oh, it was amazing. What happened is, you know how they do, like, they have their conference, right? Like once a month. Right. It's just the 9 justices go into a room together and they talk about all the cases, just the 9 of them. Right. And then they come out, you know, and obviously they get like 8 or 10,000 petitions a year. I think it's something crazy like that. So once a month they go into this little room and they do whatever. They have their conference. Well, ours was up for conference, I think the first week of April or second week of April, whatever. So we were just watching it. Well, then when it came out, we're rescheduling this for next week. We didn't reach a decision. That's when we were like, wait a minute, something's happening here. The fact
more thinking about it.
Because Fed courts want to kick things. If they can kick it for any reason, they kick it. They want to. It's to keep their dockets low. They want to not have stuff. They're jamming it up. So when they came out of that case conference, we're like, oh, we've rescheduled this to next week. We're like, yeah, something's going on here. And so I was, that morning of the next week, it was just on SCOTUS's website, refresh. All of a sudden it came out, petition granted. I'm like, holy shit, we actually did this. And I mean, I was ecstatic. I called my lawyers, called everyone. We're like, yeah, they granted our petition. We're going on Halloween to DC.
That's fantastic. How long did you stay out in DC when this happened? Like when, for the first, the hearing itself? 9?
Yeah, 9 days. Yeah. We, me and one of my camera guys went out there, like, I don't know, 5 days before, and we were there for a few days. We just ran around the city and stuff. Like, well, we did my moot argument, which was really cool at Georgetown Law School, which they do the moot hearing. It's basically a trial run, a practice run. And so they had a badass panel. They had like Nancy Pelosi's attorney. They had the head of the ACLU. They acted as the justices. And then Alon, my attorney, did his whole presentation and stuff. So we got to do that, that's invite only. It was really super cool to be a part of that. And then we just basically ran around the city. And then my family came out there. A bunch of my attorneys came out there. We had a whole crew out in DC for this. It was pretty cool.
Okay. Where'd you have it last? Go check in the there's a basket in the living room by the TV, and then there's load in the dryer. Sorry. Wow, that Georgetown thing, that's huge because you get insight from other attorneys that maybe you didn't realize something, you didn't see something, maybe you said something a little bit a different way, and it helps you like refine what you're doing.
And that's why they do it. And the Georgetown one is every Supreme Court case that comes up, that's where you moot at. If you're in the cert, you know what I mean? Like that's where you want to do your moot at. And like I said, Alon, my attorney from Arnold and Porter, like I said, he's a heavy hitter. He's very well known. This guy's done a lot of stuff, been involved in a lot of stuff. So that's where he got to do his moot. And one of the panel members said, he's like, this is an easy case for me. He's like, it was Nancy Pelosi's attorney. He's the one that he consults with the whole Senate. Like he gives the whole Senate, direction. And he's like, this is an easy case. I tell everybody in the Senate, have your personal account, have your official account. Do not mix the two because once you do, you are screwed. And he said, this is going to be an easy one. And it turned out to be exactly how he said it was going to be.
That's fantastic. Was that recorded?
No, they won't let us record it.
I had a feeling. Yeah.
We're not even allowed to talk about it. We couldn't talk about it till after the oral arguments. And yeah, it's a whole big thing, but it was really cool. Another cool thing that's been happening, I've had all these college and high school kids reaching out to me on Facebook, messaging me like, hey, we argued your case today and da-da-da-da-da. And it's been really cool to just see the impact this is having and how many people are really just paying attention to it.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand about the YouTube world. Like people like me that do what I do in my circle of people or realm of YouTube, no one's talking about this.
Right.
This is huge for those of us that there's people that literally like 80% of their channel is about redress your government officials. Here's their phone numbers. Here's their address. Here's their Facebook. Here's this. Here's that. And knowing about it, like I sat on this longer than I should have. Honestly, I'll be honest. I haven't put shit out about it. But because I read everything, I wanted to read everything a few times and like get a real good understanding of it so that when we do have this talk, I'm not going, hold on, look at my notes because it's important to us. And then, again, we need to know what the hell we're doing when we're doing it. Notifications.
Gotcha.
Notifications pop up. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, we're good.
It's like, stop talking to that tool. And my last question is, I know how, I'm pretty sure I could understand how your attorneys that handled that case with the Supreme Court that argued it. What about your other ones, the ones from the beginning? What were their thoughts? I've only got like 2 minutes of recording left. So.
Oh, Phil was pumped. He's ready to go litigate this. We are, obviously it's remanded back to the Sixth Circuit. We are going to be filing a motion to have the Sixth Circuit send it back to the trial court. So because, this all started with summary disposition. We've never got to litigate this. They filed a motion for summary disposition with the trial court. It was granted. Sixth Circuit affirmed it. We've never even got to talk about this yet. So now we're going to get to go talk about it, hopefully. So that's what we're aiming for, is to get it back to the trial court, and we're going to go litigate this thing fully.
Please keep me updated, man. I'm on the edge of my seat about this. I still have goosebumps. Like they keep coming in waves because it's so important that we have people out there willing to fight, and the government, the justices are willing to listen. I mean, a 9-0 decision, there's not a whole lot of 9-0 decisions that go out. I mean, a unanimous SCOTUS decision is pretty rare.
That's what I said. I mean, it's a grand slam home run, bottom of the ninth World Series. You know what I mean? Like you don't see this, and to be a part of it, it's really cool. And like I said, I'm just glad that, Phil, my attorney from outside legal counsel, and Alon from Arnold and Porter, that they just believed in this shit, and they were willing to go to war with me and go to war for me.
That's important, man. I got like a minute of recording left. I'm not trying to rush out, but hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll keep in touch. I'll give you my phone number and we'll talk. If you're anywhere near Oregon, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, let me know, and breakfast is on me or something.
Yeah, we'll talk off the record. I appreciate it.
I do not know where he's at, I promise.
Later, brother.
See you, buddy. Have a good one, man.
You too.
All right, guys, so there you got it. That's the interview with myself and Mr. Linky from the Linky v. Freed case right up here at the United States Supreme Court. 9-0 decision. I did reach out to Mr. Freed. He called me back. I missed his call. I've since called him a few more times, and he's yet to respond. So we'll see if he does, and if so, I'll post it. And the phone's going off, so I'm going to get back to this. Y'all take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you.